Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to speak about the same subject what we spoke last time. We spoke about the beginning of the history. This time I'm going to extend the subject. This time we're going to add spices and a lot of valuable information to this subject. So last time I gave you a basement, so you will understand now easily about everything. Now we're going to more to the details. I'm going to cover up not all, because the time is limited, so I don't want you, 3 hours stick with me. So I'm going to make this video an hour. We're going to speak about the Paleolithic now era. I'm going to give a name for the beginning of the history. So it started from Paleolithic era. I mean, the most history books, they started the history with the Paleolithic era. Some of the books, they skip the part about the human, where the first human lived. I'm talking about the Australopithecus, Homo erectus and the Homo habilis, those human types. Also, I'm going to skip that part. If you're interested, you may read separately than this video. I am going to speak direct about the Paleolithic era, when we're already Homo sapiens, and maybe I will add a little bit relation with the Neanderthals, because I believe it's an interesting part. We should be aware of that. And then we're going to end it up with the Göbeklitepe, about the complex, monumental complex in southern Turkey. And wait for me part 2 and the part 3. I'm going to shoot another video about that and post the videos, new videos accordingly. Paleolithic era or Paleolithic life, we will take roughly from 2.5 million years ago up to 10,000 years ago. Why we say 10,000 years ago? Because from 10,000 years ago we start to be farmers, we start to settle in a serious manner, right? So earlier than that era used to call Paleolithic era, sometimes calling a Stone Age, sometimes calling Old Stone Age. In Paleolithic era, I'm going to give you the summarized information. Maybe we will speak about in more details, but as I said, we're going to build base little by little. So in Paleolithic era, why it's named Paleolithic era? It's from the Greek word paleo, which means stone, because majority, not all, majority tools were made from stones. I mean the axes, the spearheads, and so on. Even hand grinding mill, also they were made from stone. So basically on that we name Paleolithic era as a Stone Age because of the stone tools. In that era we have created a lot of necessary tools which help us to survive. For example, the bows and arrows and the fish hooks and harpoons, of course, to catch the fish. Also we learn how to do baskets, which is very logical. We were hunter-gatherers. We see a tree, there is a lot of fruits on the tree. We need to collect it, so it will not fit to our hands. So we did the baskets and we put on the baskets the fruits. The funny thing, I want to put it here, very nice postscriptum, point of view, however you want to highlight, let's say, that we like sugar. I mean, we like sweet stuff because one of our ancestors find it valuable because it gave, it boost and it gave fast energy and to make us happy and so on. That's chemistry. So this is because of one of our ancestors. We're all relative to each other. We have one mother and one father. So the baskets were created to carry food, and we created also a rope from wine twisted together. It's very important, was the rope, to pull the animals. For example, I kill the mammoth, how I'm going to take it home, right? So I create the ropes. I will just tighten up the mammoth, its legs, and I pull it home to have a party with the mammoth meat and the horn and the bones, and it's a piece of cake to catch the mammoth. Then we create the small statues. I'm going to also highlight separately about in this video. And we create the flute. This is the first musical instrument ever created by human. It was created first in China. However, we already have recent news that the oldest flute was created in Europe, particularly on Eastern Europe, okay, not anymore in China. Before, it was considered that the oldest flute found in China in the cave. Yes, so we were having a nomad life, which is we are changing our place. We are hunter-gatherers, obviously, so we're changing our place from one to another. So I came here, I built a house, tent or hut, whatever you want to call it, and then around that hut finish the food. I mean, the gazelles, they start to move forward, you know, far away from my hut. So I leave my house. I'm going to leave my house, and I'm going to continue after the food, after the gazelles, the ox, whatever the meat there available. Mammoths also were there. So we were having a nomad life. We used to change frequently. In this video also I'm going to cover up why we used to leave our tents so frequently. It's a little bit embarrassing, but this is the fact. So we were having a nomad life. Also, I'm going to talk about the Ice Age and the migration, Great Migration, how to memorize the time, which is very easy. I believe you won't forget after this video. And about little bit art, and a little bit about the wheat, and a little bit from everything. Hope you will enjoy this video. I put in this video a lot of images for your imagination to grab, to memorize the information in an easier manner. So thank you so much for watching me. Please enjoy. I started this video, as I said, with the domestication of the animals. Because I already cover up about the tools and about the flute and instruments, which is about the spearheads, so which is the beginning of the story. So enjoy the video. We're going to talk about dogs, right? Domestication of the dogs, how it happened, and etc. This is among all popular historians, they like 99%, they are agreed that the domestication started with the dogs. So the first animal we domesticated, it was dog. However, to segregate or be selected among dog ancestors, we know that the dogs, they evolved from the wolves, right? And wolves, somehow they are aggressive animals, so anytime they can eat you, you can be their breakfast, you know, or dinner or supper, whatever, anytime. So they are much more aggressive than dogs. So selecting exactly less aggressive, more friendly dog, it was also some sort of the skill. So we domesticated dogs around 12 or 13,000 years ago. How it happened? Imagine, that is just, this story is roughly, we don't know how exactly it happened, but we have different opinion and the views how it would be happen. So normally, like, we kill the animals, right? We bring them to our tent. This is I'm talking about the present, right? In the past, normally what we did, we used to bring animals that ready food to our tent, cook it and leave it there. So we didn't have that skill, you know. We finish the food, we clean up the place, and we clean up the dishes. Nothing like that for sure. We used to eat, do toilet thing I mean toilet thing, in the same place. That's why people used to change frequently their house, their tent, where they used to live. So we didn't have enough brain to go out from the place and do our toilet thingy outside of the house, but we used to do in the same place. So we used to eat, we used to really live in that place. We didn't separate it. Oh, I have kitchen here, I have salon here, I have, gaming room here, nothing like that. So because we consume a lot of gazelles and we consume a lot of meat, we have leftover for sure. So after leftovers, for sure, there were other animals used to come. Fox, wolf, maybe lion also, Among them, there were also dogs. But dogs, they were friendly, they were obedient, and they were easy to be tamed. That's the nice view the historian sharing with us. So it was like source of food and on exchange of protection. So dog used to be tamed and protected from the other animals. So imagine you have your house, tent, I would like to say it's like just simple really tent, hut, and around this hut there is a garbage leftover things, and dogs, they used to protect that leftovers for themselves and also protect from the wild animals as well. So this is actually a beautiful story behind that. Although also, as I said, we domesticated goats, sheep, pigs much later comparing to the dogs. Also cats, we domesticated along with the dogs, cats as well. That's very simple reason, because cats, we know they hunt after the rats, and the rats, they are the number one reason who finish all your storage where you store your wheat, the crops, right? And they finish it. So the cat was really important to keep at home, the cat. Not necessary crop, but leftover foods also, like you want to eat tomorrow, and you keep some in the corner. So rat, here it is, the mice or rat, and you have a cat, they're going to attack and they're going to protect on exchange on the few food for sure. The perfect time to take about the ice age, exactly when the ice age started to be gone, when the ice started to melt it. We taking the date exactly 100,000 years ago. It's the best ever time to memorize. It's like a round number. So 100,000 years ago, between 100,000 to 70,000 years ago, human, Homo sapiens, and all the type of the people start to quit. Yes, all the type, right? We have another Neanderthals and so on. Start to quit Africa. One of the reasons, as I said, because of the ice, we have less ice, the temperature and the climate changing, it's getting hotter, anyway, it's getting hotter, and we have what we have, more plants, more grass. What is more grass, more plants, means more animal. What is more animal means fresh meat. And as human people, we know we like too much eat gazelle meat and also so on. So the variety, the type of different plants, it's increasing because of ice age coming to its end. Before, everything on the earth was covered with the ice, and most plants, they don't survive under the ice. We know very well that one. We have only pine, New Year tree, for example, right? So, which is fruitless. They don't give particular fruit comparing to the dates, for example, which is love sunny places. So now we have more grass. What is more grass? We have a lot of gazelles. Where there is gazelles, we have a lot of meat. So I will also quit Africa. I will follow those animals which is migrating to the east, living through the Suez Channel, as I mentioned briefly in my previous videos. So the third reason, we know that we had a time because of the ice age. Actually, because of the ice age, the population of Earth, it's decreased so badly. It's decreased up to 20,000. Imagine, all the Earth had only 20,000 humans. That's approximately, but this is also shocking number because of the ice age. So imagine when we got the climate change and the ice start to melt, and we have all those freedom, the population start to increase, the food start to increase, the freedom going out from the Africa continent, the chance also increased. So why not to leave this beautiful continent and go find out something tasteful, right? We were Homo sapiens, right? We were very aggressive ones, by the way. We were aggressive because it was necessary. So we leveled up our survival skills. It's very important to inhabit in that area, among those people, among those animals, among that area, among other species, Homo sapiens, be aggressive. It can for them necessary. What I want to say, like we were quite brutal. And why we were aggressive and we were, successful among other type of the human? Because we had a good communication skills, we had the language somehow, and we had the good socializing skills with each other. That's leveled up us to be more smart, means more aggressive, so you can protect yourself. And you can live longer and survive your tribe and so survive your people and all this stuff. Comparing to the Neanderthals, right? Neanderthals, they were less aggressive. However, we had with them same brain size. Also, they had their own culture. They had own hunting skills. But they were like less energy saving because their body type consume a lot of energy, so they spend their time more in hunting, while our body, we were consuming, comparing to Neanderthals, less energy. So we hunt like 3-4 hours, we fill up our lovely bellies, and we have some time to communicate and socialize with each other. While Neanderthal, they spent more time to hunt and to fill their stomach. Also, it took for them to get pregnant. For example, Neanderthal women, they used to get pregnant, comparing to the Homo sapiens, less. And their pregnancy, the time of the period of pregnancy, it was longer comparing to Homo sapiens. Let's say Homo sapiens was 9 months, right? And until now we're carrying the babies 9 months. Neanderthals, they were or 11 or 12, between 11 and 12. So imagine Neanderthals, they're less aggressive, getting pregnant very in a manner difficult. They had a difficulty to get pregnant. So the quantity of the Neanderthals comparing to Homo sapiens also decrease. So human race comparing to other type of the Homo sapiens type comparing to other human types is more brutal, more aggressive, and more survival. Even though, like Neanderthal, also they had the skills, like for example, we said that it was an extreme cold. We faced extreme cold and we sew clothes. We have needles. We don't have wheat, we don't have bread, but we have needles, guys. We have needles to sew for ourselves clothes. Of course, from the animal's fur, we don't have cotton and silk and cashmere, all the stuff for sure. So we used to animal. It was for us a gazelle or mammoth, right? It was for us perfect animals to consume their meat, to use their bones for the housing, and to use their fur as a clothing, along with the needles what we created to sew our costumes. That's amazing. And the funny thing, the ancestors of the flea start to be, now we have the modern flea ancestors. They evolve at the time when we start to have a cloth because we were, before it was hot weather, there was an ice age, we were running naked. Yeah, it's true, we were running naked. Ice age come, ice age enter to our lives. It get cold. What we have to do, we need to dress up in a warm cloth. And we got along warm clothes, we got the fleas, which lived in our hair, which lived in our bodies, and so on. So evolving into the having a clothing, we start to have a fleece as well, along with the clothing. I want to highlight the Homo sapiens. We reach up to the South America. So we pass Asia, we took path to the North America, we go up to the South America, right? And comparing to Neanderthals, we had something really wonderful which didn't appear to other types of the human, types of the people, how I would call it. So Homo sapiens, they had abstract thinking, which is really, really, really a revolutionary thinking. Like we have abstract thinking. What does it mean, abstract thinking? So I'm going to draw something on the wall, picture it. I'm going to create a petroglyph, right? I'm going to draw a picture of mammoth or me or my hands. That's evolving us, our brains, to create something related to the art. And we know now abstract thinking, it helped us a lot. For example, it was like map. We have petroglyphs, which is giving us direction of the map. We have a petroglyphs, which is giving the direction of the stars. You know, it's coming something educational. That's which is will not appear in other human types like Neanderthals. They didn't know that, and I believe it's a fact that this happened because we could speak, because we communicate with each other very well, we socialize with each other very well. First petroglyphs, it appears 60,000 years ago. So between 100,000 and 70,000 we quit Africa, and 60,000 years ago we have our first petroglyphs. You know, most famous areas for the petroglyphs, we know it's northern Africa, where is Libya, where is Algeria, where is Somalia, right? And petroglyphs in Australia we're finding. So we have a lot of spots. Also, along with the petroglyph, we start to make small statues. We know, we aware about the Paleolithic Venus, right? The small statuettes of a lady, which with the big tummy, with the big boobie, and with the big peach, right? So we have, and we don't know what that exactly means, because we don't have still a writing system to explain that as what is that exactly. We cannot enter into Homo sapiens brain to understand what was exactly meaning behind those Venus statuette, but it's 100% it's a female body. Most probably is a sign of religion or beauty standards, because it's easy to explain to us. So those female features, like if you have a big breast, means you can bring more milk. If you have a big tummy, you can bring more offsprings, and if you have a big you can deliver a lot of kids. So it was explained in this way. So, or it's a beauty standard, or it's a religion. We don't know exactly. We just assume, like if we go to Sumerian civilization or ancient Egyptian civilization, we can understand those people. You know, we can understand their philosophy, what was the message, because we have a writing system. We have a clear evidence about their existence, what they did, and so on. But those Homo sapiens who create the Venus statuettes, it's under the big question. We're still studying about that one, and we don't know exactly the correct answer. Why those statuettes created? Why, like the oldest statuette, it was like half lion and half human, which is one of the rarest one, which is found in Germany, I believe. Lion head man. So it's a combination of the animal, you know, morphic combination of animal and face and the human body. It's something extraordinary, and the imagination, and as again I said, the abstract thinking, it's evolved to that level without us having a settled house or town, and we already were doing this beautiful crafting. It's amazing. It's amazing. Another point of Homo sapiens, as I said, we used to meet with each other, right, with our other tribe members, because we used to socialize. There is pretty good evidence about that. We even had a close relationship with the Neanderthals. So what I mean behind this one, Homo sapiens lady, she married to the Neanderthal man, and vice versa. So the exchanging of the females happened, and exchanging, of course, males also getting married with other women, exchanging regarding the genders. So it happened. It was really shocking, because it's recently discovered that yes, Neanderthal man married to the Homo sapiens lady, and Homo sapiens man, he married to Neanderthal. However, and the settlements where the Neanderthals they stay, we found more Homo sapiens female. Look like Homo sapiens female were more attractive comparing to Neanderthal ladies, because in Homo sapiens settlements we don't have that much Neanderthal ladies. So we had the special skills like socializing, cooperating with each other, right? Communicating. It helped us also to keep our elderly members of our family. What I mean, our grandfather and grandmother, even. And there is a term calling a grandmothering term, which means we didn't, like, you know, in old times, average age who stay alive, living average, it was like 25. And if you reach up to 50, or at least up to 40, you are like, oh my God, you're like eternal. It's something extraordinary. So we used to take care about elderlies. We used to take care about our grandfathers and grandmothers, or maybe grandfathers, we never know. But the first the grandfathers and grandmothers, they used to be taken care. We found skeletons. The skull doesn't have teeth, all teeth gone, and the skull approximately 50 years old,
which is like really, really old for that time. As I said, survival age was 25. So, and the lady, it was a lady skull. She didn't have any teeth, but she survived up to 50. It means that somebody chew for her food and somebody take care about her. There is another question: why we took care about old people? Why we didn't say, okay habibi, khalas, bye bye, you expire, I'm sorry, I cannot take care about you because you know you're walking slow or whatever. It is good source of knowledge. It is like living library, because we couldn't record everything into the paper, right? But elderly had a lot of experience, especially who lived up to 40. They can tell us, you know, better you kill this gazelle from this side, or let her, you know, jump over the cliff. It's easier, and you don't have to waste your energy. You just push and jump over the cliff. Ready food, just fry it or cook it or bake it or wherever, right? This is the good piece of advice. This is the good knowledge. So I have live library, I have live Google with me all the time. So I really put myself into difficult position, because to take care about elderly means carrying them on their shoulders, chewing for them the food, and they were taking care about it. Consumes a lot of power and time. So the value, the impact of the grandfathers and grandmothers was huge. Like even now, right? Even now we're going to take, like, what 19 years old going to teach 19 years old another, for example, how they won another level on Counter-Strike, or another level they reach in Super Mario, or I don't know, GTA stuff, or how Mario, he killed the dragon and he got the Princess Peach. So, but 56 years old can tell million wonderful things to the 19 years old. So even now we appreciate our elderlies, because they are source of knowledge, source of advice, source of help and support, right? So it was also in ancient time really important for the Homo sapiens to have good communications and taking care about the elderly. It was really important for them to keep the elderly, and we have evidence and we have a proof that we, from ancient times, we used to take care about our elderlies. Grandmothering, we're going to use this term. Grandmothering increased socializing and communicating skills, communication overall, right? Like if I knew how to do, let's say, stone tools to kill gazelle, my grandfather or grandmother will teach me how to add to the edge of the stone the stick. So I'm going to have a special tool which is named spear. It will be longer, longer in order to kill the animal, right? The more far in distance you kill the animal, the more you're safe. For example, gazelle, it's quite far, but if you're going to come next to gazelle, it will run away, of course. So I will create arrows. I will be archer. I'm going to, shoot arrow from the distance, so she will not have any chance to run away. So this help us a lot. This comes again from the grandmothering, from the elderly, us teaching how to do the tools better, pass the information to other generations. It was really also like women, the hunters, we know we know that the women also, they were hunters. They wasn't only like men hunters. We have a proof. We have a petroglyph. There is a lady with the boobies running after the animal. On the hand, she was having a spear. So, however, I'm sure in a period when she has a child or when she's pregnant, she better to stay in one place and take care about the offspring rather than, run after the wild animal. So, as I said, the living age of Homo sapiens was around 25, and when you have some difficulties in your head, if you catch a cold, and you die from the virus or whatever, you die. They don't have Panadol, they don't have those injection vaccine also. So really, really healthy people, they lived their body was extremely healthy, even they reach average 25. Most of them, when they found the dead bodies and the skeletons, most of them, they were injured from the accident, right? From the accident, from the breaking the bones, nothing related to the cancer, something like that. Cancer means cancer, you'll die, but majority skeletons which found were from the injuries. A lot of injuries happen. And as I said, and injures not only from the hunting, but we injure ourselves as well. Like 25 years ago, people help each other to do something, right? We share food, we exchange male and females between each other. If we want to, two tribes, for example, if I'm going to take two tribes, they gather with each other, because if big quantity of people trying to hunt after them, for example, mammoth or gazelles, group of gazelles, more is better always, right? We had a more chance to have a food. So in these cases, we used to really gather with each other. However, if happened conflict, for example, between two tribes, we were extremely aggressive at the same time, because we found bodies, like 28 bodies approximately were relative, and they were killed in one place. So it's like there was, for sure, as it was explained, it was a conflict between the relatives. For example, in one house, living in one cave, or living 28 people, and they had some conflict. Maybe they couldn't share the food. I'm just giving easy example, right? And one get angry, and one kill each other, another kill each other. So 28 people which living in one cave, they determinate each other, although they were relative. So again, we were really on survival mode, and we had the mood to pass this all wonderful things. In the tribes, in Homo sapien tribes, one group of the men, they were more relative to each other rather than ladies. So all I want to say that ladies were foreigners in the men groups. So for example, one tribe, let's say there were 5 male and 5 female. All 5 female were not from the tribe, not relative, and the 5 males were relative. So females were like foreigners, I mean, from other tribes, while male, they were relative to each other. That's something surprising for me also. So as I said, Homo sapiens arrived to North America 15,000 years ago, and 13,000 years ago we have a cloning culture where tools and spears and archer and all different tools were found in the settlement. For sure, we couldn't domesticate more animals comparing to Asia. As I said earlier, that we killed a lot of animals in North and South America who didn't have an instinct to protect themselves. We know that the megafauna, only megafauna among all the continents, is available in Africa, because those animals, they evolve with us, and the animals in North America and North Africa were simply killed because they didn't evolve. They didn't see what is human. They didn't have those instincts to protect themselves from the Homo sapiens. So basically we just kill a lot of animals and left for us only to domesticate some alpacas, some llamas, and some turkeys, right? Because these three animals belong to North and South America. The rest we just kill and eat. And the interesting part, we didn't just kill for to consume the food, but for fun as well, for no reason, because we destroyed so badly the environment of the North and South America. Yeah, that's us. That's aggressive one. Like even like a bison. We have wild bisons. For sure, we hunt after them, but we couldn't domesticate them again because it's a quite aggressive animal, and some animals cannot be domesticated. I'm sure there was attempts to domesticate, but I think it wasn't successful. Like ancient Egyptians also, they tried to domesticate gazelles over and over, but they failed over and over, because gazelles, they're easy to be scared, you know, they run away and they can destroy your house if you want to tame, because again they scare, they're easy to be scared. So Ice Age, we're going to finish soon. Ice Age, the climate changing, the weather coming better, the fruits and the veggies and the grass types, we're having many in our fields, right, in our grasslands. Animal quantity of the animals are increasing, the food is increasing, almost paradise. It's exactly happened in the Fertile Crescent, right, and nowadays in the Levant area, which is Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan, and Syria. So this was the perfect area to settle. Migration, animals coming from Africa, ready food, ready grass, oh my God, almost paradise, right? So Levant area, before in Levant area, there was a lake, I mean, big lakes. Now there is a Dead Sea, but we found around that sea a lot of settlements from that time, from the almost ending of the Ice Age. So definitely we had a lot of aggression there, because I'm sure like there is a million tribes settling in the best place. So migration, gazelle is coming from the Africa. I have a Greenland, I have more types of the fruits and veggies, and why not I settle here, and whoever going to also settle, that person is my enemy, because they are taking my food. So aggressions is there. As I said, Homo sapiens, we were most and is aggressive type of the human. So the skulls tell by themselves what they tell. Most of the skulls, they have a injury on the head, broken legs and broken arms. It shows that the one human injured another human. So it was quite tough area, along with the tough I mean, beautiful food. So it's like nobody want to move on. However, we have a lot of people who moved on, but majority want to stay where is a lot of food, where is a lot of fruits, where is a lot of veggies, and so on. So it's a conflict place. I might call the Fertile Crescent was a conflict place at first. Also, you know, plus we start to discover wild wheat, right? So I don't have, I mean, I have fruits, I have meat, and I'm having a wild wheat. So I'm going to create something grinding. We know that grinding mills, the oldest grinding mill was in Jordan Valley. Again, it's a Levant area, and we knew to do bread before we settled, before it started civilization, which is really, really, really interesting. Before we start even farming, so we depend on the wild wheat. So we go gather wild wheat, we grind it, and we cook a bread, we bake a bread. That's wonderful stuff happened in the past. Because we used to think that we have civilization, so it was like normal, like we were hunter-gatherers, then we settle, then we find wild wheat, we settle, we became farmers. No, nothing like that. Before we became farmers, we already knew how to cook and how to prepare and how to bake bread. At first, the wild crops, there was like intentional, like I plan and I will go and I will gather. It was just additional. However, it started to become main, because it started to fill our stomach and we start to take a control over our food. So we weren't only depend on the migration of the gazelles or other wild animals whose meat we could consume, but already we start to dictate our own rules, for example, towards wild wheat. So if I don't have today gazelle, but I have wild wheat, and I will go and I'll make a bread, fresh hot bread, right? Also, this Levant area, it's very interesting area because we have a first sign of shamanism. What I want to say that we have first sign of beliefs, let's say first sign of religion, because we have Natufis culture, we have a burial, we have different burials next to each other, but among those burials we have one important burial of a lady, and she was buried in a quite different than others. For example, first of all, her position was different, and it will sound weird because next to her leg was attached another human leg, so it's like some creepy stuff going on in her in her tomb, let's say. But along that leg, extra leg, which was next to her, which was next to her own leg, we found a turtle shell, we found feather, we found on top of her some animal bones. So archaeologists and anthropologists, they conclude that it's something special, it's some special woman, and they conclude that it is related somehow to shamanism, like to beliefs. And this is where I open up about the shamanism. It's like a somehow link to our next subject about the Göbeklitepe, right? Göbeklitepe, I suggest you guys to study about this complex. It's a really wonderful and interesting thing which happened through our to Homo sapiens, or to the people. Why? Because first of all, Göbeklitepe, it's a monumental complex, which means stones like 16 to 18 tons of stones and 5 up to 6 meter high stones were built in the complex. And who built them? Who built them, guys? Hunter-gatherers. You know, it's like how we used to think. When they found the Göbeklitepe, it make the history, it make the books rewrite from the beginning. Because what we used to think, okay, we are hunter-gatherers, we found wild wheat, then we settle, then we start to build stone, monumental, complex buildings like pyramids or ziggurats and etc. No. We create that complex in Göbeklitepe. Göbeklitepe now is south of Turkey. So we built such kind of monumental complex while being hunter-gatherers. It's something extraordinary. As I said, it pushed to rewrite the books, the history books. So no farming. Okay, we don't have a we don't know how to deal with the wild crop yet. First of all, second of all, we don't have any domestication. Only the dogs, but the dogs, they don't bring the food. So they conclude that the food around the Göbeklitepe was so much and so filthy. So they didn't bother themselves about the hunting, about the hunger, etc. Because to build that monumental complex, they take it minimum you need 500 people. But average, when it comes to average, it needs 1,000. So you don't have a leader, you don't have some statement, you don't have any government, you don't have any civilization, and you were able to build that monumental complex being a hunter-gatherer. That make us conclude that the region was rich with the plants, with the food, and you know, you can come to the place and build, because those people, they had an aim, they had a one goal to build that monumental complex. And what is interesting fact, what is behind that monumental complex, while it was built, we don't know. Again, we assume that it was somehow sacrificing or a religion purpose behind that monumental complex, but still we don't discover, again, because we don't have any scripture or writing or somehow valuable evidence us telling about this monumental complex, why it was built, what was the purpose of it, when it was built. Of course, we can roughly say when it was built, but the purpose behind that, why those people, 500 up to 1,000 people, were busy building that monument, and without having a leadership, I mean, without having any government on civilization. It's a lot of question marks about this wonderful place, Göbeklitepe. And like 85% of Göbeklitepe is not touched, because it's a fragile place. First of all, I want to say, like, it's a sensitive, and nowadays we have a popular, how I can say, like a popular technique to not touch that place, archaeological place, in order to not destroy it, because oh my god, how we used to destroy, like for example, any archaeologist, he will arrive to the, let's say, Mesopotamia, and he just grab piece of beautiful mosaic, let's say, from the wall, and he'll just put in the museum, although he will destroy, he destroyed already. And it happened million times, like even in ancient Egypt, like people used to just cut off the heads of the monuments and take them to their countries, mainly into Europe, and put their museums and show them, oh wow, I got this treasure, all the stuff. But behind that, now we understand that it was extremely wrong. We should not do this in order to understand more. So now, thanks God, we have now this technique, which we don't touch until we have modern technology to not harm those monuments, and we just don't touch. So 85% of Göbeklitepe is untouched, and only 3% is opened. So we were just waiting us to make greater and better technology. So we're going to dig up or discover more about the Göbeklitepe without harming that complex. Yeah. The great archaeologists, they open up many tombs and many historical, especially it happened like 19th century. It became like a hobby or some kind of adventure to go and find someone's tomb, and behind that they didn't understand that those artifacts should not be touched in the way how it was touched. Like, just one jar, it was stolen. Maybe that jar was inside some leather bag, or inside the jar was somebody's bones, and you just grab that jar and bring it to show in your museum. So yeah, it was done tons of mistakes in archaeology itself. We are so happy that it's changed now. Before any let's say digging of archaeological sites, the archaeologists, they sit and they set up the plan, and they decided to not touch the place, because when it comes to Göbeklitepe, as I said, 80% of it's untouched, because they decided that they're not ready with those technologies what they have in their hands. Unless it's really necessary to dig up the place. For example, like a Mohenjo-daro, the ancient civilization, we need to really dig up that places, because it's going to be under the water, which is already under the water. Or for example, when the Aswan Dam was built in border Sudan and Egypt, how much it harmed nearby archaeological sites. When it's really necessary and it causes natural disaster, we have to take an action in order to save those historical artifacts, places, which is related to the history. So it depends. Comparing to Göbeklitepe doesn't have any cause of natural disasters, so it's better to keep it untouched. Another wonderful thing, as I said, like 500 from 500 up to 1,000 people, they had one goal to build that monumental complex Göbeklitepe, which is majority, all of them was hunter-gatherers, right? They weren't settlers. So this is wonderful dedication to build that monumental complex. It is not related to the survival mode, because until that time, all what we can do, it was for food. I create spears to kill animal, to put the food in my tummy. I create archery again to kill animal to put my tummy. I create clothes to make myself warm. What I want to say, this complex didn't have a goal of surviving mode. You know, I'm opposite. I am putting myself under the danger because I'm not, for sure there was a lot of injuries while building that place, because the bones which were found in Göbeklitepe, all of them belong to the human. That's another mystery, you know, thingy behind that wonderful place. So this complex built in the end to not get the food. It was built again. They saying that it was most probably built because of the religion aspects, some beliefs, so on. Because we have some interesting evidence. For example, if, as you see in the picture, that is column 47, you can see different creatures, scorpio, some birdie with the ball, you know, and so it's somehow they explain that the representation of different tribes. So the tribes they represent themselves as animal, or some people they represent themselves as animal, and that the ball, which wonderful bird or eagle, or I don't know what we're calling, let's say eagle, carrying in his hand that ball is actually skull. So as we don't have an evidence, we again assume that that ball, it was a skull, and it was like a sacrificing process. So normally it was sacrificed to the gods, right? To the somehow, you know, it's like belief system. The point of use of this building of Göbeklitepe, those complex monumental complex, make us conclude that we really was socialized and we had a great communication skills, because 100% without great communication skills we could not build that monumental complex. It's we don't have farming, we're still hunter-gatherers, we don't have domestication. And how we build that monumental complex? For sure, because we speak with each other very good and we explain to each other what to do. So the historians, they conclude it was aimed, and one of the reasons it was built successfully because of we were socialized quite good. So thank you so much for watching my video. We're going to continue about this subject, and I'm going to create the second part. I would like to ask you to send me your suggestions, your comments regarding the video. Like last time I got the microphone, everybody was complaining about the voice, how it wasn't clear. Now I got the microphone. It's because of you. And if you like this type of the format of the videos, and thank you so much again. Thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe. See you till the next time.